let's go on an adventure to one of the largest reptile expos in the country. I have a lot of shopping and learning to do in order to start shifting my snake habitats into bioactive environments. Of course, we'll also get to see some gorgeous animals, great people, and talk about some of the things to be cautious about and aware of when you attend reptile shows. I'll give you some tips and identify some things to be on the lookout for to keep you, your animals, and the hobby safer and more ethical for all involved. And if you stick around till the end, you can see exactly how I use what I buy at the show to get my bioactive journey going. We've got a lot of ground to cover, so let's just slither on into it. Well, friends, I am here at the Reptile Super Show in Pomona, California. I am very excited because this time I'm not just going to be looking at beautiful animals and trying to find obscure animals. I'm actually starting my journey into bioactive enclosures. So I'm a beginner. I've never done bioactive before, so I'm here to learn. I'm going to talk to vendors. I have done research before I got here. I have a list of things that I'm going to be looking for in order to start this and to buy, and of course look at amazing snakes and reptiles and all of that, and talk to awesome people too. There's some really great people that I'm looking forward to seeing here, and of course we've got Apex Reptile Enclosures, which I'm getting a very special one soon, and I'm very excited. They have this new green color. It's a face that you can put on there. It's really amazing. I'm very excited. All right, let's get to it. I spent a lot of time prior to the show hyper focusing on how to set up Isopod and Springtail cultures. I'll be honest though, once I got to the show, there was so much stimulation and so many different options that I felt like everything I'd learned kind of disappeared from my brain. In order to have a balanced ecosystem in bioactive setups, it's important to understand the roles of the different type of cleanup crew critters.
Isopods do all your decomposing leaf matter biological, but the springtails are basically, it's like peanut butter and jelly. Isopods and springtails are peanut butter and jelly.
Okay.
You want them both in that bio.
The springtails are what take care of mold and bacteria. So even though I've had some powder orange isopods in some of my enclosures for the last 4 months or so, I've been missing the jelly to my peanut butter. So those were definitely top of the list to go home with.
See how they're starting to pop up?
Uh-huh.
Those are your dwarf whites.
So the dwarf whites are parthenogenetic?
Yes, they don't need a friend.
Okay. It's crazy how many different species of isopods there are. And just like any animal, they have different environmental and dietary needs, and not all of them make for effective cleanup crews in your enclosures. Even after researching and making a list of the ones I thought would be best, one of the vendors talked me into buying a couple of species that might not be ideal for my particular needs, which I only realized after speaking to more people as the day went on. I have primarily temperate, humid enclosures, but I also have a few arid environments to build, so I needed to make sure I understood which species would work best for those, and it's why I got a variety of 5 different species of isopods. I do have 11 very large snake habitats that will eventually need to be seeded with these guys, so hopefully there will be a happy place for all of them after the colonies have had some time to get established. If it ends up that some of them aren't going to thrive in the snake enclosures, well, I never planned on keeping crustaceans as pets, but I will take care of them to the best of my abilities regardless. Luckily, these guys aren't that hard to take care of and don't take up a ton of space, and can be surprisingly cute. I got some dairy cows, and they would eat these guys if I put them in the same enclosure, so I definitely can't do that, and I need to be careful and make sure that I do not mix the isopods that will eat each other. That's bad. Oh, I have a lot to learn. I always swing by and see Chad from Golden Coast Exotics at shows he's at because he's got a small but incredible array of some of my favorite species. I do have 4 different snakes from him after all. I appreciate that he breeds snakes on a small scale and only works with a unique set that he's passionate about. And what a treat. This guy is probably a relative of my boy Helios, but is one of the most stunning examples of Dominican red mountain boas I have ever seen. The contrast of the dark saddles against the vivid coloration was absolutely jaw-dropping. Nice one, Chad. Doesn't matter how many times I come to these shows, it's always so overwhelming. It's hard to keep my brain straight, even though I have a list of things and I took notes, and as a neurodivergent person, being at these shows can be extremely intense, but I'm still excited to be here, and I got a lot of shopping left to do. It's always great to see Alex from Pandas Fauna, and he had some absolutely gorgeous boas on display. I'm looking forward to the day I can bring home a snake or two from him. He breeds such a wide range of different species, and he's a really awesome human to boot. Of course, one of the best parts of going bioactive is the ability to grow live plants in your enclosure. So I definitely wanted to pick up at least a few different types while I was at the show. I have lots of houseplants I can propagate for this purpose, so I only wanted to get a small amount to start off with that I could take home to put into quarantine and grow out a bit before introducing them into my enclosures. The good thing about getting plants at an expo is that you can verify whether the species you get will be safe for your reptiles. As much as I'd like my enclosures to look like full-on jungles, I'm very aware that some of them might not thrive depending on the snake and the environment. So I focused on getting a small set of hardy, easy-to-grow plants that might not be immediately crushed by my larger snakes or dug up by my more mischievous ones. Anu, I'm looking at you. You can totally buy prepackaged bioactive substrate mixes, but if, like me, you have a bunch of very large enclosures to fill, that's going to be extremely expensive. So I'd planned on making my own anyway, both for my isopods and my enclosures. I just needed to make sure I got a few extra ingredients here to make that happen. And if you stick around until the end of the video, I'll show you exactly what those ingredients are and how I mix the substrate for the isopod cultures. I stopped dead in my tracks when I saw a Boelen's python and a Madagascar ground boa on display here. These are both extremely rare species in captivity, so it was a real treat to see them. Unfortunately, I found out that these animals weren't up for sale at all. Why is that unfortunate? Well, I don't really understand the purpose of putting animals through the stress, not to mention risk, of going to an expo if they're not for sale. Sure, if you want to have a holdback or two on display to show what the rest of your animals you're selling might end up looking like, that I can understand. But just bringing them to show off is a different story. So although it was a treat to get to see them, I was left with a bad taste in my mouth. It just seemed selfish to put those animals through stress and the risk of catching diseases or mites just to show off that you had them. Well, it was a very, very crowded and busy day in there today, and I am overwhelmed, but I got a fair amount of stuff to get my journey started. So I think I'm gonna call it for the day, and then I'll be back tomorrow without a cart, hopefully, so that I can actually really enjoy the show more, because at this point, you know, I was more focused on like getting ideas and understanding things and buying stuff. But tomorrow I'll get to actually enjoy it more. And if I forgot anything, I can always get it tomorrow. Hopefully I got enough to get my Isopod and Springtail cultures going and happy and healthy and get this bioactive thing started. Something that's really important that I wanted to bring up is that once I get home from the Reptile Show, I am going to come in my house through the back so that I don't walk through the snake room with these clothes on and any of the stuff that I just brought home. I'm gonna throw my current clothes in the washing machine and spread all my stuff out in the back of the house, far away from the snakes, just to make sure that I am not or they are not hosting any unwanted travelers from this show. I only held one animal, but still, I'm going to be extra cautious, and you should always do that kind of thing when you get home from reptile shows. Very excited to be back today and just wandering around and enjoying myself and talking to people, so that's what I'm going to do. I had a really lovely conversation with Lucas from Centralian Exotics just now as I walked in. We've been talking back and forth for a long time online, and it was really nice to meet him in person. He breeds a lot of different amazing snakes, Woma pythons, Brettles, indigos, diamonds. I mean, he's got a lot going on. They're beautiful animals, and he's writing a book on Woma pythons along with a couple other folks, and I'm very excited to read that book. And then I also saw a Sanzinia madagascariensis, which is the first time I've ever seen that Sanzinia at a show. I have the Sanzinia valentini. Madagascariensis is a little bit harder to find. I also saw 2 northern white-lipped pythons, but, and this is important, is that they were marked at $450 each. Now, as soon as I see a snake of that caliber priced at that low of a price, I ask, was it captive bred or is it wild caught? You should always, always ask. And if the person cannot tell you or is cagey about it, says they don't know, walk away. And most likely, if it is priced low, it is wild caught. And you just don't want to take that risk for a pet. It's just not worth it. So even if you want it really bad, you really should wait, because the risk that comes with wild caught animals is just really great. Most likely, they're not going to make it. They've had a long journey to getting here. They probably have parasites. But anyway, the moral of the story is always ask. Look them in the eye and make sure they're telling you the truth. The only people that really need wild-caught animals are breeders who are really trying to reestablish or establish a species in captivity. They're really not good pets. So, yeah, I figured I'd just say that I'm glad I asked, and you should always ask. Okay, so this is great. It says wild-caught. I appreciate that they put that. It's not hard to do. Just let people know. If you're gonna get any reptile, this is something you definitely wanna see. DM Exotics is a well-known importer, and as you can see here, he's got clear protocols to prove the health of his animals before he sells them. He can provide lab results for nido testing for his pythons, which is something I think all reptile vendors should take responsibility for. Considering he's trying to be transparent about nido, one would hope that he might also be honest and open about whether the animals he's got have been treated for parasites as well. Many of the species I've seen at his tables over the years are rare to find as captive bred, like these viper boas. They're usually wild caught, but it seems like he's setting a good example as far as this kind of thing goes. Personally, I think if you're selling reptiles, it's your responsibility to make sure the animals are proven to be healthy before they leave your care. And as buyers, it's our responsibility to support those responsible vending practices and beware of those who aren't forthcoming about these issues that could end up costing the lives of not only the animal we're buying, but any others we've already got at home. This was one of the most disturbing things I came across at the show. Chameleons should not be kept in deli cups, and as you can see, these are looking really rough. I wasn't even sure if this one was alive. This table had no attendance, no vendor sign or business name, and it's full of a random assortment of different species priced very low. Bearded dragons and tortoises should not be displayed this way either. Whoever this vendor was, their practices were unethical at best. If you see anything like this at an expo, do not support them. even if you want to quote unquote save the animals from the situation they're in. Now, there's a reason I didn't talk to the promoter about this, which I won't go into right now, but in general, as attendees or vendors, we can do our part to improve standards at expos by speaking up about things like this if we see them. Ideally, all expos should have a veterinarian on staff who checks each booth to verify the animals are in good health or displayed in appropriate conditions before they're allowed to sell. I stopped to look at this snake because I'd never seen this species before and was fascinated by it, but ended up feeling frustrated once I took a closer look. Considering this is called a burrowing python, I felt like the least they could do was throw a little substrate into its deli cup. It seems normalized to display animals without anything but a piece of paper towel, but this most certainly causes stress, especially if it's a fossorial species. Maybe they reason that the substrate detracts from your ability to see the animal, but that just doesn't justify it for me. It's bad enough when there's no heating under or over the displays for animals that require it, but zero substrate just seems lazy. It's really not hard to do, and would at least give them a little more comfort in an already uncomfortable situation. Oh my God. The faces, look at you guys. Oh my God. Oh. I noticed the Moss Family Adventure booth right away. As a vendor, I'd never seen at this show before. Sure enough, it was their first time coming out, all the way from Louisiana, with a beautiful array of carpet and Brettles pythons. I had some lovely conversations with the folks at the booth, and they are very passionate about their animals, where and who they end up with, and I loved it that they were able to talk about the personalities of individual snakes as well. I definitely need a Brettles in my life at some point, and when I do, it'll probably come from them. If you talk with them, follow them on Instagram, or visit their website, you can clearly feel the love they have for their snakes and the care and thoughtfulness they put into their business. Oh, we're definitely gonna hang out.
Okay, I can stand behind that.
The blue eyes.
Go on.
Look at the little polka
What
dots.
has been like going further towards?
Oh yes,
There's polka dots.
they're so gentle.
Okay.
Man,
The
what a
feisty
beautiful
spitfires, the striped
animal.
ones, or the caramel.
And the reds kind of get more as they age,
Yes,
right?
as they age, they go through the ontogenetic color change. Yes.
Beautiful.
There's individuals you point out to.
Oh my God, the little face, it just kills me.
Worried about that.
Leopard geckos are, like ball pythons and crested geckos, some of the most overproduced reptiles in herpetoculture. This display was overwhelming, and this was just one of dozens that sell this species. Putting a sign up like this doesn't give me a good feeling either. It just makes these animals out to be undervalued products. This was nearing the end of the show too, and I just sat there wondering what would happen to all of these geckos that didn't end up being sold. In my opinion, there's just really no reason to produce this many at a time. I was really hoping to talk to Dr. Zach Loftman. He was here yesterday, but he was engaged, of course, and I waited for a while, and then I kind of got like, I'll let him be, and I'll see if I can get him tomorrow. And I haven't seen him all day, and kind of bummed about that because I really want to talk to him and thank him for his paper and thank him for the work he does, and also talk to him about ColubridFest and the idea of me making my presentation on reptiles and neurodiversity. I would love to hear his input on that and any advice he has on moving that forward, but might have missed my chance. So I didn't talk to Dr. Loftman, but I did talk to Clint just for the last like 25 minutes. It was awesome. And we had an amazing chat about snake therapy and reptiles and neurodiversity, and maybe bringing that to ColubridFest, maybe bringing it to Colubrid and Colubrid Radio. He seemed really into it. So that's really, I could leave now and be happy. Looks like there could be a really cool development from today. So good day. Look at those little guys. Bumps on a log. I never have to buy cork ever again. I just got this thing for 35 bucks. It's gonna last me the rest of my life. I am starting to think that it might be time for me to go. I might do one more pass, maybe get some more leaves. Another essential part of bioactive enclosures is leaf litter to mix into the soil to supply nutrients for the plants and food for the cleanup crew. But it's very important that your leaf litter is free from pesticides and has gone through some cleaning and sterilization processes before you add it to your enclosures.
This right over here was just given, we washed it with hot water and then we allowed it to sun dry. That's what we did with the oak. The other ones that are brown, it's 4-stage. We never let those leaves hit the ground until we collect it from the branches, right?
Okay.
And then what we do is we boil it, then we bake it, and then we let it sun dry.
Love it.
So there's no pathogens on these two.
Okay.
Right over here.
So I definitely want to get some from you.
Okay.
Why am I buying leaves, you ask? Can't you just go out and get them in your backyard? Well, I live in LA and I live right next to a very, very busy freeway that rains down disgusting stuff into our neighborhood. It coats everything. And I don't know who sprays pesticides on top of that in my neighborhood. So I don't trust getting leaves from around where I am. Otherwise, I would totally collect them myself and not pay money for leaves. But so it is. I have to. But otherwise, I think I've gotten everything I wanted to get my bioactive journey going. Maybe get one more isopod culture, then get that going, get everything set up for them, and then start working on one of my million habitats that will take a while for me to transform into a bioactive, but I'm gonna do it. Feel good about it. I ended up with a pretty nice little haul at the end of this show. And let me tell you, focusing on improving my enclosures like this with all that I had to learn in the process most certainly removed the temptation to get a new snake. And I'm not even going to be ready for the bioactive enclosure bit yet. The first thing I needed to do was get the Isopods and Springtails into their new homes so they could settle in and start getting busy multiplying. I got topsoil from the garden center and baked it in the oven to make sure it wouldn't have any unwanted parasites, insect larvae, or bacteria. For my culture bins, I follow the instructions from a Serpa design video on isopod cultures. These bins are quite large for the size cultures I bought, but I'm a go big or go home kind of lady when it comes to housing animals. I used a hot knife to cut out ventilation holes on both sides of one end of most of the bins, as well as in the tops, to allow there to be a gradient of humidity from one end to the other. Then I put hot glue around each hole, covered it with a fine screen mesh, and then added another layer of hot glue over top. I actually kind of got worried that the screen wasn't fine enough and ended up putting a second layer, which probably wasn't necessary. After the glue was cool, I used a utility knife to cut away the excess screen. Isopods need calcium, so I used a hammer to smash up the cuttle bones I'd bought at the show. Even though I made sure that all the leaves I bought were pre-sterilized, I put them into a bucket to rinse them off before I used them. Seeing that the water was pretty clear when I did this was a good sign. Next, we had the lump charcoal that I smashed with a hammer, and I hydrated bricks of sphagnum moss to mix in and help the soil hold more moisture. I had a little cocoa core to help with this as well. And the other main element I had on hand was orchid bark. This would help aerate and hydrate the soil while providing some nourishment for the isopods at the same time. I used a larger bin to start off mixing the main elements together first. The soil, charcoal, sphagnum, and orchid bark primarily, and a little leaf litter. Then I started on my individual culture bins, filled them halfway with a bunch of what I'd already mixed, and then made sure there was a lot more leaf litter mixed in throughout the substrate. Worm castings would provide nutrients and microbes for the isopods and improve the soil structure. I split this bag up between the 4 cultures I made. Next, I sprinkled the pieces and dust from the cuttle bones in and mixed the soil again. And for the final touches, I put extra sphagnum moss on top, especially on the end that didn't have the air holes, which would keep it more humid on that side. Pieces of cork would give the little guys places to hide as well as to gnaw on. Added some magnolia pods for extra nutrition, and of course, more leaf litter on top. I got this large culture of temperate springtails and added a fair amount to the bin by pouring them out with some of the water that was in there. The Panda Kings are probably not going to end up being great as a cleanup crew for my enclosures, so we'll see how they do in the culture and then I'll decide what to do with them down the line. They are really adorable though. Please don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment if you have any thoughts on any of the things I did or discussed in this video, and I hope this was helpful, informative, or at least entertaining. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time for more snake therapy.